Okay, there we go. We are recording, and this is going to begin our reflection, our staff reflection portion of today's meeting. I am going to hand it over to James to kind of get us started with that portion of our meeting. James?
Thank, thanks, Ray. And hi, everyone. My name is James. I am the Chief of Staff of Community and Culture. I am going to be representing the senior leadership team and sharing some reflections that we've had as it relates to 2023, and also just things that we're looking forward to implementing in our leadership in the new year. And just so everyone knows, senior leadership team will be going as well as other teams as like our membership team, our comms team. And just so everyone knows, the question that they'll all be anchoring around is, what did you learn in your role? And what will you bring in your role and broader Ujima community this year? And so, yeah, as I mentioned, I'm representing the senior leadership team, which stands for, consists of myself, Nia Evans, our executive director, and Sierra Peters, our director of communications, culture, and enfranchisement. And this SOT is just responsible for maintaining the organizational structure and moving the vision and mission of the organization forward. And so I am going to share my own reflections, and then I'll share Sierra's and Nia's. So starting with myself, what I wrote is that last year I learned to not worry about being a know-it-all, and instead focused on listening and cultivating team harmony where I could. A big part of my leadership style and role is about connection, collaboration, and grace, not dominance, urgency, or competition. I'm really proud that I really stuck to that practice last year more than I ever have in the almost 4 years I've been at Ujima. This year, I'm really trying to forget about being brief and being invisible. I spent a lot of time early on in my tenure here trying to take up as little space as possible when interacting with leaders and executives who I perceived as being more experienced, creative, and skilled, which is a humongous lie. I've come to really understand that like I deserve to be here and in this role. And then like every leader, I remain a constant learner. Fighting imposter syndrome is a reoccurring practice. Instead, I've really focused on accepting that I've made it to where I am for a reason, even if I don't know the reason well enough to put it in my elevator pitch. I thought being a chief of staff was about getting things done and less about talking. I do believe that is my natural disposition, but there's great opportunity to be better and do more. My invisibility was most evident in the brevity of my verbal and written communications. What I thought was good enough in a brief email turned into 2 or 3 back and forth emails, and then the inevitable meeting, then an inevitable meeting or phone call. With a growing team and growing set of responsibilities, an additional meeting or call is just impossible and often not essential. So now when I send emails, I don't worry about brevity. I take up more space. I find that providing the ask, the context, and the desired outcomes at one time helps me move forward faster than a vague sentence or two that requires more explanation. I think this realization will allow me to be more present for the vastness of my work and available to the needs of my brilliant teammates. So that is some reflection that I want to share with y'all. And now I'll share Nia's reflection and then Sierra's. So Nia has shared that in terms of responding to the question of what did she learn in her role last year, growth and letting go. She said, I can intentionally step back to clear the way for people to do their thing. Some peer modeling in James and in Sierra in different types of leadership. Our different leadership styles are valued. I think one similarity amongst our leadership styles is there's more grace, kindness, and flexibility than in what is currently imagined when thinking of leadership stereotypes. I'm not alone in wanting and feeling compelled to lead differently. With grace and cooperation, deeply respecting each other as people and what we all carry with us. Understanding leadership as providing support to amplify team members' ability. In that vein, I was able to see almost immediately the value and effectiveness of scaffolding. Um, and in response to the question of what she would bring in her role in broader Ujima community this year, she said, I will continue my focus on scaffolding and support. I will continue my efforts to build with peer leaders and help to create more room for different types of leaders and leadership. Thanks, Nia. And concluding the SLT reflections, Sierra, our Director of Communications, Culture, and Enfranchisement, shared that 2023 was my first full year as a member of Ujima's senior leadership team. The year was filled with growth and experimentation. Our collective commitment to excellence in leadership and coordination has been a driving force behind the positive strides we've made. As with my role, I learned the importance of commitment, communication, and seeing our ideas through to their furthest reaches and possibilities. This year, my personal theme is spaciousness and ease. I think it's easy to believe that the robust suite of programs and initiatives that we have are due to a large team, but each accomplishment is hard won. Each vote is an endeavor, and each risk is an opportunity. This year, I hope that we can better support our membership and enroll new Bostonians into the ongoing dream we are realizing together. Thanks, y'all. I'm going to pass it to Gio, who will be representing the membership, organizing, and coalitions.
So thank you, everybody. This is our reflection of the membership, organizing, and coalitions. On staff, we have Mary, myself, Gio, and Ray. So when we are making our reflections, we talked about what did we learn in our role last year and what will we bring to our role and community this year. Please keep that in mind. Right here, we have Mary to start. This is Mary's voice. In my role, I learned a lot about what it means to really experiment and see what works. As this was a new role and a different additional lens to the work, I definitely experienced challenges of not knowing exactly what to do, but so grateful for members for expressing and demonstrating what's possible. I am very grateful for all of the people I've gotten to meet who have challenged me in this work, whether it was through tabling or creating events together. I am really looking to develop my skills this year around project management and base building to really engage and support membership in achieving their goals and the best experience possible. I also look forward to us continuing to push and innovate as leaders in this work. That was Mary, one of our community engagement managers. Shout out to Mary. Throw up some emojis real quick. All right. And this is my own reflection. 2023 was my first full year working at the Boston Ujima Project. Being in the community engagement role placed me on the front lines of member-staff collaboration to experience the power of the people united under Ujima's mission. I enjoyed 2023 and will always reflect on this year as a step up in my day-to-day work as a community activist. The opportunities that stood out to me the most for member-staff collaboration were events such as By the Block 3, Open Streets Dorchester, the Assembly of Black Possibilities, and the ever so amazing 3-in-1 Wednesday that we had, which was the Ujima Barbecue, the Liz Fernandez Ujima Workshop on Transnational Activism, and a micro learning pod. I am working towards meeting all active members in our member teams in one-on-ones, creating more spaces of joy for Ujima members, leaning into our staff for more internal collaboration, activating a deeper connection with community engagement and the Ujima Good Business Alliance, and working to ensure member retention. Little short pause here. Lastly, we have Ray, our Director of Coalitions, Policy, and Grassroots Organizing. In 2023, I learned the true meaning of democracy in practice. Sometimes it's messy, sometimes it's slow, and I learned that that's perfectly fine. I was constantly reminded how much I'm influenced by faux democracy and would find myself discouraged that things didn't move at the pace I wanted them to. Each time that happened, I was grounded by my Ujima comrades, members, and staff with grace and compassion. I would be reminded that true democracy is revolutionary and moves at the speed of the collective. My commitment for 2024 is to continue to practice leaning into the collective us by co-developing with you all more transparent processes for how we approach our policy work, political strategy, partnerships, and making even more space for our community to take desired action on the issues that are near and dear to us. Please give it up for Ray on their reflection. Thank you. We will next hear from communications. Yes, throw those emojis up.
Good evening, y'all. Whoever has the slide, if you wouldn't mind going back one slide.
Apologies, everyone.
That's Combs' way of making an entrance before their section.
All right, wonderful. So yeah, good evening again, y'all. My name is Alula. I am the editorial manager with the comms team, and I'll be sharing reflections from myself, from Sierra, from Mona Lane, and from Natasha Shiku. So sharing reflections from Sierra to start us off, and this will be in Sierra's voice. So Sierra shared that as the director of communications, culture, and enfranchisement within the Boston Ujima Project, she finds herself at the forefront of shaping and sharing the narrative of this impactful initiative. Her role involves not only narrating the ongoing story of Ujima, but also creating inclusive opportunities for existing Ujima members to actively contribute to the evolution of the Boston Ujima Project. And she plays a pivotal role in extending these entry points to the broader public, facilitating their understanding and engagement with Ujima, with the solidarity economy, and with economic democracy. She's extremely excited by and proud of the work that we've done, from creating new brand identities for over 50 events. That's a lot of events. Supporting our wider team projects and embarking on our own projects for the first time. And by our own project, she's referring to some publications that we got up off the ground. So we started Fortunately, which is Ujima's post-capitalist lifestyle magazine. We published Tamashi Jackson's Brown 2 book, and we most recently published our newest zine series, Channels. Yeah, throw some reactions, throw some hearts up in the air for all that work that Sierra spearheaded. Yeah, and then moving on to Mona's reflections. Mona shared that she thinks dealing with the reality of things is something that she began to and is continuing to learn and move through from 2023 into 2024. Passivity and constant dissociation really hurt them a lot. And there's a lot that she began sort of scratching at the surface of. And every time she started scratching, she realized the depth of that thing that she was scratching, that she was digging at. She began to learn more about her own place in community, attempting to become a more active participant. And now the idea of being radical doesn't feel as far as it once did to her. And she can recognize that possession of being radical, or that embodiment of being radical, is who she is as a person, and who she is in Ujima spaces. For 2024, her focuses are knowing what's difficult for her and being proactive and getting ahead of ways that she might tend to lapse or stumble administratively, attaining a richer project management literacy, and self-educating to do more specific and informed culture and comms work. Yeah, really, for real, thank you, Mona. Those are some real reflections. Yeah, we appreciate the time and energy that you really put into thinking through what's to come in 2024. But yeah, sharing from Natasha. Natasha's reflections are that last year involved a significant amount of trial and error as she navigated her role and found her voice and her rhythm. She now feels a lot more confidence in her skills and expertise, and she feels like she's enhanced her ability to communicate and to connect with our online audience at the Boston Ujima Project. Communicating the extensive work we do, including our member teams, the UGBA, culture, so on and so forth, was initially challenging, but she developed a better understanding of the Ujima voice and crafted her own voice, achieving a clear, merged voice that gets at Ujima's comms voice and her personal style. Some notable achievements in the past year include expanding our Instagram following by over 2,000, bringing us to over 7,000 followers, contributing to communications for Live Like a Local tours and the Assembly for Black Possibilities, successfully selling out event tickets, fostering collaborations beyond the communications team, such as with our community engagement team and our CPGO teams, with the Reframe conference, and finding a rhythm within the comms team with Sierra, Mona, and myself, managing responsibilities in the flow of projects on our team. Looking ahead to 2024, she envisioned using our online platforms to spotlight not only Ujima, but also the businesses in our alliances, showcasing their contributions and the people within our communities. And her goal is to bring creativity and engagement to our online presence, moving beyond traditional communication methods, especially with initiatives like Ujima Wednesdays to boost event attendance and retention. She also aims to grow our Instagram following to 10,000, our Facebook following to 5,000, and to enhance engagement on each post by being more intentional about our online communication strategies. And she's excited to see what the year ahead has in store for her role, and for the entire staff. Yeah, those are some really big goals. Shout out to you, Natasha. And yeah, last but not least, I'll share my own reflections. I'll keep it pretty brief. I think the big thing for me this past year was getting acclimated to this new role as editorial manager. I'm now 4 months into it, I believe. It's been a really fun ride. I got to take part in a lot of really cool narrative-based things, some really cool interviews, some written work, some essays, so on and so forth. Gio, are you saying that Natasha is a great Jeopardy? That's word up. But yeah, so yeah, it's really fun. It was really fun getting acclimated to this new role, and I'm really thankful for grace and for patience this year. And I'm looking forward to bringing that grace and that patience into 2024, continuing to build platforms for the written word and for voices here at Ujima, supporting our future publications, and potentially kicking off a publications member team, as well as sort of finding balance in multiple facets. This past year brought me a lot of opportunities to share words and stories. And yeah, Grace got me through some really tough and busy times. So I look forward to building on past and present and future relationships, and moving at the speed and pace of trust above all else. And excited to be laying the groundwork for what's to come. And yeah, that's what we got for comms team. So much appreciation, much gratitude, y'all. And next up will be our Ujima Fun team.
Thank you, Lulu. That was great. But yeah, hi everyone. I'll be starting us off, the Ujima Fund and UGBA team. Each of us individually will be going over what we learned for the year. So I'll start us off. What I learned is how important it is for us to partner and collaborate with other organizations and businesses and just people. It really just shows how you can push the work and strengthen the work overall by, just collaborating with others. What I will do this year is continue to build on the relationships that we built last year, but also tap into them and the ones that we connected with before. But also big shout out to the team for making 5 investments last year. So the whole team, all around different departments, we were able to collectively invest over 1.1 million. So definitely congrats to the team. And yeah, I'll pass it over to Yusuf.
Thank you, Janelle. Yeah, for me, I'll say I learned how to be more effective when reaching out and speaking with UGPA members and outside sources. I also learned how to network. I will speak up more and bring more ideas to my role in the Ujima this year. I will bring an open mind and willingness to learn. Also the UGBA gatherings taught me the importance of just having that physical interaction with the businesses and just watching them learn new things and stuff. So yeah, appreciative of that. I'll pass it to Joshua.
Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. Thanks, Genoa. Thanks, Yusuf. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a fellow with the fund management team. I started last year back in September, we'll say September-ish. And I think this process has been great. I'm really fortunate and grateful to be a part of this team. I think over the past 3 to 4 months, just really understanding, what the fund management team does, the business alliance, who they are, who's involved, what they need, our equity investments, and then also just understanding like the group dynamics internally of Yusuf, Genoa, and Nia, the humor, the comedy, what people like, don't like, and just, how we communicate. Looking into 2024, learning how to better support some of our administrative processes, and having conversations with the team, understanding and thinking about how we can brainstorm around collective real estate ownership, improving my financial acumen or knowledge to better assess our business profiles, from the business alliance and our equity investments. And I think just echoing what a lot of people have said in different groups, particularly in our group, just community, and just learning how to better build relationships internally, but also externally. And then with that, I'll hand it off to Nia.
Thank you so much, Josh. Echoing a bit of what's been talked about already, the thing I'm really thinking about with regards to both the Ujima Fund and the Good Business Alliance, just as our broader ecosystem. And for me, 2023, there were a few events that really just highlighted how dynamic our ecosystem is. And so thinking about our lending peers, thinking about our TA partners, thinking about our ability to tap them and to get support from them, and to get support that was actually quite generous. So thinking of orgs like LEAF, orgs like MCCI, orgs like BCCL, a lot of acronyms, orgs like BII. The other big thing that I'm thinking about in that regard is then also our ability to coalesce. So we found, unfortunately, opportunity to coalesce again last year in a way that we did in 2020 in the wake of the pandemic. But unfortunately, we found opportunity to coalesce around Fearless Fund in Atlanta being attacked by right-wing white supremacist. And so we very quickly came together the way we were able to in 2020, first to educate ourselves, to arm ourselves with information, and then next to think about what a collective strategy is. And so really focusing on not just seeing to our individual health and survival, but thinking about what a strategy looks like across the city of Boston, across the state of Massachusetts, and then I would definitely say then beyond Massachusetts, and thinking about our ecosystem writ large throughout the US, and really grounding ourselves in an effort to build a feminist multiracial democracy. And so understanding that while we may work narrowly in the many of our peers, not necessarily Ujima, because we're pretty multifaceted, but while we may work narrowly in the field of access to capital in a certain sense, we also understand that even the very narrow work is in service of, for lack of a better phrase, and actually a much broader project, sorry, and a much broader initiative and a much broader effort. And I think it goes to culture now. Thank you.
Oh, am I on? Okay, here we go. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. And thank you to all the teams that have gone previously. Really excited about the work that's happening over at the fund and excited to share some updates in my role as comms next week. However, we're not there yet. Um, I would first just like to, yeah, just shout out all of the teams. I think that we're the last one, right, James? So we're the last one today. So super excited to talk about culture. And before we talk about anything, I just want to give the hugest shout out to Kamaria Weems with a Z, Weems with a Z, who is our new co-director of culture and galleries, right? Cultural organizing and galleries. These are names that I can't always remember, so I apologize if I got that wrong. I'll start with my own reflection and then I'll end with Kamaria's. And I will be reading off my phone, very Drakey. I say this all the time. I am Drake, he is me. And so when I write, I usually read off the phone. Um, Reflecting on the events and milestones of the past year, I'm filled with a sense of pride and accomplishment. Some of my highlights for this year, the first one was undoubtedly our another twin effort, right? Was the Juneteenth celebration in which we collaborated with the ICA in Boston. We At that event, we were able to support many artists, makers, filmmakers, and we hosted over 2,000 attendees in the ICA space. Across just a few neighborhoods over in Roxbury, we also hosted our first ever residency with Adam Davis, which was a huge undertaking. And I thank everyone on the team who contributed their time, energy, and expertise in making that happen. As with all things at Ujima, there's a lot of cross collaboration with a lot of these like larger events. So super huge shout out to everyone on the team for supporting those efforts and making that happen. In December 2023, we were able to welcome Kamaria as a valuable addition to our community, bringing new perspective and energy. We also hosted our second ever Other Worlds featuring Iris Simone. Another notable achievement, was our first ever photo residency with the talented Adam Davis. We facilitated a lot of knowledge sharing and community engagement. Those things remain a key focus. We hosted 4 microlearning pods covering a variety of topics, including Tomashi Jackson's Brown 2 Book Club, which started in 2022 but ended in 2023. We also published that. It's online now, ujimaboston.com/publications if you want to read that. That was a comms culture collab. So from exploring, the histories of education policy in the United States to political expression with Z-making and writing to repair our tribe. We also did a noteworthy collaboration with Creative Study in the Fun team, where we filmed a documentary that captured our collective journey through Ujima. Looking back, these experiences underscore the ethos that defines Ujima, reinforcing our commitment to creating meaningful spaces for meaningful dialogue and expression. I'm excited by the work that we'll be doing with community in the future. Kamaria writes in. What I'm learning is a big shift and big feeling in my brand new role within Ujima. I'm experiencing the kind of impact working among many brilliant, kind, inviting, and creative Black folks. The feeling of being a part of many who are invested in collectivity as a means of creating something more, exclamation point. Something bigger than any of us alone, exclamation point. I've never had this experience in my 9-to-5 work. I'm excited to reflect on how I've been changed by this in a year and then 5 years. It's already healing how isolating past work formations have been that have not been invested in wholeness or not skillfully in holding a container that can sustain that wholeness. Within my role as co-director of cultural programs / galleries, I want to bring this spirit of collectivity that is genuine with each invitation for any collaborators, co-creators, network builders, gallery experiments, folks who show up in the spaces that we are holding or working with beyond Ujima staff to bring their whole selves. There is an inherent culture shifting wisdom in that. I want to extend a feeling of ease into BIPOC cultural spaces, and of course, I'm hoping to learn specifically about how solidarity economies function. There's a steep vocabulary learning curve for me, and I'm thrilled for that knowledge to inform the intentional ways that I do or do not participate in capitalist models that have been given to me. And earlier today, Kamari and I were reflecting just on what we want our cultural group what our Wonder Twins will activate this year alongside the Ujima team. And so we said that we want to create various entry points for the wider public to learn about and enroll in solidarity and economic democracy through culture. The idea that culture can be something else and we don't have to rely on celebrities to give it to us. We want to resource and build a container for emergent art practices that we're excited by and about within Boston. We want to find ways through grant funding and other opportunities to monetarily support artists and culture makers. We would love to experiment with what pop-ups and virtual offerings will look like. And again, providing as many entry points as possible to the co-creation of those engagements. We would love to create gathering spaces for members and the public to be together that center music, performance art, and other cultural expressions. And we want to seed a network of aligned cultural centers in Boston and beyond, so we're connected and we are not doing this work in isolation. Thank you all so much. I will hand it back to James.
And I will hand it back to Ray.
Sorry.
Okay. All right, y'all. So that concludes the staff reflections for this year. So once again, thank you all so much, everyone on the team, for just providing really thoughtful reflections on our work from last year and our hopes for our work for this year. Thank you to our membership for taking the time to listen to us and trust us to help steward this work. And with that being said, we will call it a night. Okay, so can someone please end the recording?